So Feng Shui means wind and water. That can't come as a mystery to you guys. You must have come across that before. But perhaps what it didn't tell you is that it actually represents force, and when that's applied to an object, power. So what we're talking about when we mean Feng Shui is the natural flow of energy inside a space, inside an atmosphere, because if we look at nature, inside a home or office. Basically, there's a rule of nature that high energy must flow to lower energy. And in ancient times, the shaman used to go off into the countryside or to these what's called power spots and absorb all the high energy from this. What happens is that inside every home or building, there is a spot that has high energy. And water is used as a catalyst for air to dissolve in it and allow the air to flow through the space. Air condenses into the water and that also releases energy. So basically there's two things that happen there. Air dissolves into water, releasing energy into a space, and then water evaporates, which also allows energy to flow through a space. And this is a way of converting energy to people, to performance. And the better energy we get, the better quality of life we have. The more fulfilled, the more successful we become. When we talk about wind and water, we're talking about one tangible and one intangible, which is similar to what we have in the yin and yang. If we turn this on its side, what we have here is an ancient symbol that represents a waveform, and these two dots here represent particles. And actually that's how things are made in the world. That's how the manifest comes into being. It's from a flow of electrons along the electromagnetic spectrum that collect in magnetism and make matter. The Chinese refer to this as the one, the singularity, created the two, that's yin and yang. You could say that's matter and antimatter. And the two create the three, which is this sine wave. Okay, basically what it is, these waves here represent the electromagnetic spectrum, okay, which we're bombarded with. Imagine living inside a microwave. You've got this whole frequency which goes from basic long wave up to short wave, and it carries gamma waves and microwaves and X-rays and all that. And the denser stuff is the stuff that's affected, well, all of it is affecting us. And because we're made of cells and atoms and everything else, this constant bombardment, this constant interaction affects us. But some of that is actually good. It's high frequency stuff which can empower us. And if we tap into that, that improves our quality of life. That's where the power comes from. So our job as in Feng Shui is to find what's called the high point of any space. And we put water there. And once we put water in there, these electromagnetic waves dissolve in the water and release energy into the space. We then arrange the furniture so that it will flow to the appropriate places and enhance that person's life. That's really what the essence of wind and water is. How we use water as a catalyst and how it flows from one point to the other. These are going to be these waves I've been telling you about, and this is NASA who's going to show you where they are and how they're affecting it.
Something surrounds you, bombards you, some of which you can't see, touch, or even feel. Every day, everywhere you go. It is odorless and tasteless, yet you use it and depend on it every hour of every day. Without it, the world you know could not exist. What is it? Electromagnetic radiation. These waves spread across a spectrum from very short gamma rays to X-rays, ultraviolet rays, visible light waves, even longer infrared waves, microwaves, to radio waves which can measure longer than a mountain range. This spectrum is the foundation of the information age and of our modern world. Your radio, remote control, text message, television, microwave oven, even a doctor's X-ray, all depend on waves within the electromagnetic spectrum. Electromagnetic waves, or EM waves, are similar to ocean waves in that both are energy waves. They transmit energy. EM waves are produced by the vibration of charged particles and have electrical and magnetic properties. But unlike ocean waves that require water, EM waves travel through the vacuum of space at the constant speed of light. EM waves have crests and troughs like ocean waves. The distance between crests is the wavelength. While some EM wavelengths are very long and are measured in meters, many are tiny and are measured in billionths of a meter, nanometers. The number of these crests that pass a given point within 1 second is described as the frequency of the wave. One wave, or cycle, per second is called a hertz. Long EM waves, such as radio waves, have the lowest frequency and carry less energy. Adding energy increases the frequency of the wave and makes the wavelength shorter. Gamma rays are the shortest, highest energy waves in the spectrum. So, as you sit watching TV, not only are there visible light waves from the TV striking your eyes, but also radio waves transmitting from a nearby station, and microwaves carrying cell phone calls and text messages, and waves from your neighbor's Wi-Fi, and GPS units in the cars driving by. There is a chaos of waves from all across the spectrum passing through your room right now.
So basically what we have is this enormous amount of energy that's affecting us wherever we are. But some of that is actually good, and we analyze that to find out where the good stuff is, so we can release it into an environment and allow people to prosper. That's really what it is. So all the techniques that we're using, it ultimately leads to that. It's quite amazing. I've done lots of consultations with corporations, and I can go along and tell which is the most successful department in a building using that. So the closer you are to the source of where this high energy is, the more prosperous you become. And what we try to do is to make everybody more empowered, enhance their quality of life, their success, their fulfillment, by allowing this energy to flow throughout. So there's lots of different techniques that we use in Feng Shui. Yin and Yang is looked at on many different levels, and it's something we begin with and carry throughout the whole year-long course. And then everything from then on you can divide into Yin and Yang. So basically, one represents the present, one represents the past, the other represents the Yang, represents the future. So what do you want your future to be like? Because the energy that you're putting out in the world affects your future. How you feel right now, how you feel in the next moment is your future. So if you feel positive about your future, you carry that forward. If you feel negative, you start to bring the past into the future and create a cycle where perhaps you're trapped. So one of the effects that can affect your mood is the relation of energy inside your space. So you saw all those energy waves coming from lots of different sources, and there's many of them. And this is just from our sun. But how many stars are there in the night sky? Each one has a electromagnetic wave, as do planets, and the whole thing is like a soup. So how do you possibly keep track of all that? So in Feng Shui, we start by using color and shape. We use what's called the 5 elements that allows us to classify everything we see inside of space. There's a delicate balance generally in people's charts to find out basically what's going to make them fulfilled, what's going to make them successful in everything they do. Analyzing that, finding out what that missing element is, and putting that into their space empowers them and allows everything to flow for them, rather than living a life in stress. So this waveform that you've got here, if you were to turn it on its side, when we get stressed, those waveforms condense. Okay, so it's very jagged. It goes up, down, up, down, up, down. Very compressed. And that represents stress. That's your lifeline. Now, your lifeline should last 80 years. But when you get stressed, you live in that survival, emergency mode, where everything gets condensed. Consequently, life gets condensed. And stress is one of the biggest killers in today's society. Short stress, short-term stress is fine, because that kind of exercises all of our cells and keeps us on alert. But long term, it affects us. What Feng Shui does is it analyzes the stress already inside your space. And if you've got elements which are conflicting with each other, it's like energy is arcing from one side to the other. And that will affect you because you're caught in the middle of it. And it's going to be causing you stress. You must have found this yourself. You walk into a certain area and you feel automatically stressed. You feel aware. You feel that something's not right. It's very uneasy. It's difficult to relax there. Women are particularly sensitive to their homes and offices. When they go into an area, it just doesn't feel right. They tend to call the Feng Shui person in to sort it out. We use these 5 elements to find out what's missing and what goes in and how you can allow it to flow. So as I mentioned, the core is the people themselves. So let's find out what energy you have. This is our second workshop, which deals with the Bagua and the 8 trigrams. And the 8 trigrams is basically the cornerstone of Chinese philosophy. But each one of us has a trigram, which we use as a life trigram. And that determines directions and energy for us. So we'll look at these trigrams now. Third workshop is Compass School Feng Shui. That's what we're going to be using Chinese compass, which is a bit like an engineer's slide rule. It's got 24 levels of information, which we all specific to direction. So I'll show you one in a moment. Workshop 4 is Earth Acupuncture and Business Feng Shui. So we look at energy underneath the house in terms of Earth Acupuncture. So these are global grids that's affecting us. It can be things called black streams that may be releasing energy into our space. I had one case a while back where somebody had a black stream that's passing under one end of their sofa, and he was a high-powered executive, and when he came home in the evening he'd relax or fall, just relax in front of the TV on the sofa, and his head was actually laying on top of this black stream which was underneath the house. Over time, about 18 months or so, he developed a brain tumor. So I was called in. I found out that there was a black stream crossing underneath part of this sofa, and did some earth acupuncture, similar to what Charles does, but with the earth instead of the meridians in the body. But actually, there's this great similarity that we have between the planet we live on and our bodies. You know, body contains 70% water, as does the planet. So in a similar way, we did some acupuncture, took the line out, and within a month the tumour started to disappear, and he made a full recovery. And that was about 20 years ago, and he's just retired now. So from being prognosed with almost death by removing this radiation from him, that was basically stagnant energy underneath the house, and that's caused by, well, it can be caused by many things. The most popular cause of it we have in today's society is all the construction that's going on, and when they put steel pilings into the earth, that attracts energy to it, and it can collapse some of the crust, which in turn collapses some of the groundwater which flows from the mantle up to the surface of the earth, bringing nutrition for all plant life. So basically the veins inside the crust can become collapsed and water stagnates. And when it stagnates, it releases radiation, a vertical column, and if we're spending any time on that, we'll absorb that into our bodies. So we look for that, the energy underneath the house. If it's there, we'll take it out. We put it in a bag and give it to the client. They can put it out in the rubbish. I'm joking. Workshop 5 is the I Ching and divination. This is all about, well, really, it's the cornerstone of Chinese culture. They use the I Ching to make decisions, to help them with decisions they've got in their life. It is well revered in Chinese culture. So we're going to look at the trigrams now, which is going to give you a personal direction. So here's our trigram. So this sequence is also known as the Luck Trinity, where the bottom line represents Earth, Chi and Fate. The top line represents Heaven, Chi, Now this heaven chi is that those waves that you saw coming towards you in that NASA video. And then we've got earth chi, which is those black lines underneath the earth. Not just the black streams, but ley lines and all that kind of thing, the geomagnetic grids that we have. That's earth chi. And then sandwiched in between that is us, man chi. So Feng Shui, or what's called the Luck Trinity in China or Hong Kong particularly, balances man between the elements, between the heavens, that's astral chi, that's those electromagnetic spectrum you saw, and the earth chi. The earth chi gives us all the magnetic grids that we have, and that's what helps us find the directions. We've got magnetic north, which our compasses are attuned to. So it's a core knowledge of Feng Shui. From understanding the forces of heaven and earth, mankind can prosper. So here we have the trigrams. There's a Chinese compass. This is what I was trying to tell you earlier. It looks very complex, and it's something we learn in our year-long course. But basically, this rotates. This is actually square, not rounded corners. But I just thought I prefer rounded corners. Rounded corners is very popular in Feng Shui. Go to a Chinese restaurant. They say that rounded corners stops money from falling off a table. So in households, they like rounded corners because they get to keep their money more. Also in restaurants, they put lots of mirrors in because what the mirror sees, it doubles up on, and they get that effect too. But this particular thing, although it looks very complex, and this is 26, nearly 26 centimeters in diameter. Each line represents information, different levels of information, and this rotates. So we've got two dots in the center where we align this to north, and then we're able to read across these lines either this way, horizontally, or vertically, although it's held horizontally towards a building. And that gives us 24 levels of information about a particular direction. We're looking for the energy that's coming to a building, or the energy that's already inside it. And this is what tells us what energy inside is there. Feng Shui, as you probably already know, is thousands of years old. So when we talk about these techniques, this incredible device here, this what we call a Lua Pan, has all of the information that the Feng Shui masters through history have formulated and put down into these rings. So the sum total of their knowledge is in here. This one, not magical, not mysterious, it's written in Chinese. That's the hardest thing of it, but all of this is logical. And it's all based on what I've shown you so far, which is that energy, waves, particles, all that kind of thing, how it's affecting us. So one of these trigrams tells us what kind of energy you have. And how we find out what energy that is we work out what year you were born. And we add your year of birth together. We're all born after February the 4th. So what you do is you take your full year, your birth year, 4 numbers for your birth year, and you add them up. So let's say, for instance, we have someone born in 1980. So that's 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 0, which gives us 18. What we're looking for is a number under, well, a single number, single digit. So you take the 18, and for females you add 4. So we make you 4 years younger. So 18 plus 4, and then you add the numbers together if you've got a double number until you get a single number. 4. Men don't add 4. Men take their number away from 11. They add it together if it's a double number. You add it together again to get the single number, and you subtract that number from 11. For all males, for your partners, husbands, whatever, you subtract that number from 11. Okay, so you've got we had 18. We want a single number, so we add the numbers together again. 1 plus 8 equals 9. Yes?
Yeah.
Subtract that number from 11, leaves you 2. So your trigram is this one here, the receptive, kun. 2. Each one of these numbers has a trigram. You'll see this here. Look, there's the numbers. So kun 2.
Okay.
All of these represent different directions. So those are different directions.
Good.
So this is your element when you sit and face your favorite direction. And basically, if you think of this, basically you got 4 good directions and 4 not so good directions.
Okay.
So what we try to do is get you to sleep in good directions, get you to face good directions. And when you face those good directions, you get the right energy for you. You get the energy that supports you, that helps you make the right decisions, that helps you become less stressed, that unites you. Okay, if you want high performance, so if you want, imagine you got the most powerful sports car, you've got to put the best fuel in it. So the best fuel comes from taking your life trigram and changing the top line. So Charles has got a nice easy one because all these numbers are the same, all these lines are the same, easily identifiable. Both of you have slightly different ones. You have a mixture of yang. Yang is called the solid line here. Angelica, that's yours.
Yeah.
And then you've got the yin line here.
Yeah.
So the broken line is called a yin line, and the yang line is a solid line. So if we take Charles's trigram here, and we change the top line, that gives us the best energy. Okay, that's a great example because all the lines are the same, and when we change the top line, and by changing it we mean if it's a yin line we change it to a yang line, if it's a yang line we'll change it to a yin line. Okay, so this means if it's a broken line as it is here, we change this to a solid line. Okay, so you change that to a solid line, and then you look along here till you find these two lines the same and this top line as a solid line. So this line here and this direction is Charles's best direction. Where you work your birth year out and find your base trigram, your harmony, that's the catalyst. That's where we start from. That's the formula that gives you your basic trigram, and then we build from there. So if you want to be all that you can be, once you balance your energy, which is what Charles has done, and you sit and face your best direction, then everything comes to you. You know, in ancient times, the salmon was revered as being wise because the salmon is a big fish and it expends a lot of energy when it has to change its food. But what it does is it lives in the center of the stream and all of its food comes to it. Consequently, the old ones, the old ancient ones, used to call the salmon wise because it wouldn't chase its food, its food would come to them. In a similar way, if you face your best direction, it's not only facing your best direction, but it really helps if you face your best direction, then things come to you. You think much more easily. You make the right decisions. All your instincts are honed. You're getting the best possible fuel for you to live your life.
All right. All right.
Try it. And what a difference it makes. You're already facing a good direction, but when you fine tune it to your best direction, wow, life really goes up a notch. If that's what you want.
Good, thank you.
So basically there's two different directions you've got in terms of application. You've got a direction which you sit and face. You've also got your direction which is sleep. So when you sleep, generally you're facing the ceiling. So in which case you take your what's called your crown chakra, okay, the direction of your head, the point in the middle of your head, your crown chakra, and the direction that faces should be your best direction. I've had clients in the past where one particular client was being called into the office because they were making lots of redundancies inside this very large corporation, international corporation, and he feared for his job. And he called me in the day before he was due to go for his meeting, and I found out he was sleeping in his worst possible direction. So as you've got your best direction, you've also got your worst direction. And if you wake up in the morning feeling groggy and stressed and everything else, it's probably not a great direction you're sleeping in. But you can fix that right now. Just from today, you can make a real difference. I found out he was sleeping in his worst possible direction, inviting all kinds of disaster in his life. He was really making the wrong decisions, getting the wrong energy, the wrong fuel for him. So we turned his bed around, he slept in a good direction. The following day, when he went into the meeting, they made him a head of a division rather than losing his job, just in 24 hours. It's quite interesting how when you work with Feng Shui, the effects can be instantaneous, because you've seen that continuous waves that we've had. When you start adapting them, balancing them, animals pick it up. In one consultation I remember doing, there was 7 cats in a house. And cats are a great indication of black streams, because if you've got stray cats turning up in your house, they're attracted to the underground energy. They just want to spend time on it. So if you've got lots of stray cats, that's an indication of having black streams. And the course will show you how to do that, or you can get a professional to come in and they'll do it for you. I went around and balanced the energy there, and the cats used to fight over food and everything else. And as soon as we balanced the energy, they started purring, not fighting anymore, and they haven't fought since. So instantaneous. Plants and things, when they're putting good energy, these high energy spots I told you about earlier, when you put plants in there, they thrive. Even if you don't water them as often as you should do, they still thrive. It's quite amazing how organic life thrives under these conditions. So it's not subject to conditioning, not subject to thought, opinion, whatever else. It's energy interacting with an organic form and having an effect. And the very simplest way of doing that is facing a good direction. And Angelica and Anne, you're what we call East group. Okay, so if I draw a line down here, everything on this side, with the exception of northeast, northeast, southeast, and south are all good directions for you, because you're East group. For Charles and Vera, you're the opposite. So you have southwest, west, northwest, and northeast. They are your favourable directions, because you're what we call West group. Okay, so East group on one side, West group on the other. The reason why northeast belongs to the West group is because of the angle of the Earth, that degree of the Earth, not spinning north to south, in which case if we had that, then all the seasons would be the same. We wouldn't have any seasons. It'd be like living on the equator. But because we've got the angle between 22.5 and 25.8, which again ties into all these numbers here, quite phenomenal how this all comes together, shows us that the Earth rotates on an axis. So if you just face your good directions, it makes a difference in your life. You think better, better things happen. Okay, you become more positive. And I said to you earlier that what you think now affects your future. So if you're facing your good direction, you have the best opportunity for a brighter future. If you're facing a difficult direction where you're in stress, then you carry that forward into your life. So you have more stress instead of more happiness. Okay, it goes back to the yin and yang. Okay, the yin represents the past and the present, where you are now. The yang represents your potential, everything you want to be, all those dreams that you've got. Start right now by the way you feel. That's your potential. So reaching your potential, and in terms of professional courses, helping your clients reach their potential so they find harmony in life. For your sleeping direction, it's measured from the foot of your bed. So you'd stand at the foot of your bed facing your headboard, and that wants to be one of your beneficial directions.
All right. All right.
Yeah, interestingly, if you wake up an angle in the morning, your head's at one corner and your feet is in the opposite corner, it means you're subconsciously trying to realign to a better direction. If you've got any children or grandchildren that do that, it's because they're not sleeping in a good direction. If you do this formula that I'm just giving you, you'll get them to sleep in a better direction. They get a better night's sleep, and they won't be at an angle when you wake up in the morning. So a good way of classifying this with clients is, do they find that they sleep diagonally, or they wake up diagonally in bed? If you have a good night's sleep, you're probably facing a good direction. But try it. get a compass. You can get a compass for your smartphone. They're free, and just stand at the foot of your bed and measure the distance to your headboard. Okay, it works. Yeah, even after doing 30 years of feng shui, we still use good directions. Very simple, you know. Very often in nature, the most simplest things are the most profound. If you think of really performance, getting the most out of your life, put the best energy in, that comes from facing good directions. Not just that, it's the energy that we live, it's the environment. I just at a seminar over the weekend, and we were discussing how cells are affected by the environment, which of course what stem cells work with, but it's actually the external environment as well. And if there's more stress in there, that's going to affect your health. When everything starts to flow well in your space, in your environment, then your life follows suit. So you've got the best fuel, and if you don't have any stress in your space, then everything is what you want it to be. Think the biggest thoughts you can. Go for the biggest potential you can, because you're equipped to go and do it. And that fuels us for the day ahead. Ultimately, what we want to do is wake up in the morning full of possibilities for the day ahead. Get the maximum potential out of it. Really enjoy ourselves, enjoy our lives. And when we do that, we start to radiate that with others. That's a great way to be. So all your clients would do the same. But you know, it used to be that you wouldn't tell anybody that you use feng shui. And particularly in China now, the politicians use feng shui because it gives them that power that we were looking at, that force and power we looked at. Force is the flow of energy. So this is the energy flowing to you. The power is where you take it on. It empowers you. This is where you receive that energy from. This is just simple alignment between the energy from the year that you were born and what's going to feed it and support it and help you to prosper, thrive. You're getting the best energy for you. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we come to apply those directions in your house. And each direction represents a different aspect of your life. This one is called the Bagua. Ba means 8, Gua means trigrams. So Bagua means 8 trigrams. This system tells us the effects of space or location according to geomagnetic fields. Each area is a name, a direction, and an element. So the element you've just learned, and generally when you put those elements in this space, it tends to make them prosper. And what's actually in that space already. For instance, if we take the north, so this is measured from the center of your home. This would be an example of a center of a home. This is a floor plan, and we put the compass directions across the floor plan. So down here we've got the north, and this represents water. Okay, so when you put water in the north, the journey through life, your quality of life generally improves when you have water in here. If you have too much wood in here, wood represents plants, colours green or light blue, wooden floors, green walls, that kind of thing. That can make you feel pretty drained. So in which case what we do is we try and balance it by putting metal, a generating element in here, which is represented by the colours white, grey, or rounded forms. I can't go through all of these tonight, but this represents the present, and this one here represents the future. Okay, so the best way to use this is to decide what you want in your future. What do you want in the next 3 months, 6 months, year? You put symbols of that inside here, and lo and behold, if it's balanced properly, you start to achieve those goals. It gives you a focus, a direction in life that you're driving towards, that you want to achieve. Just short-term goals. You can put a long-term goal in there, which is ultimately what you want to have in your life. You can break that down into a series of stages and develop them. And as you do it, reach each stage, then you upgrade it to the next stage. So that represents the future. What do you want your future to be? We get it in balance, so your future is bright. Another one here we have in the west It's called offspring because in nature, the sign of success is to have offspring, is to do something, development. It gives us purpose in our life, gives us fulfillment. By a similar token, whatever makes us creative, whatever talents we have, expressing those talents, getting them out in the outside world, gives us confidence, makes us feel fulfilled. So things that you want to work at, you want to develop as a hobby, you want to do creatively, photography, whatever it is, writing, you put a symbol of that inside this Western area, and just by coincidence, you tend to develop those talents inside you. This goes back to when we used to live in caves, when we used to paint on cave walls what we wanted to achieve in our life. A lot of it had to do with food, but which is why we had bison and everything else there. But this is what we do. This is a kind of modern interpretation of what that is. It's got a bit more refined now, and it really does cover every aspect of your life. They're all interrelated. Each one represents a different part of your body, so it's holistic. And if there's particular recurring health issues that you've got, it tends to signify that these areas are out of balance. But once you bring them into balance using the 5 elements, which is something we teach on the course, or we have the distance learning program, that enables you to analyze the environment and put it right, balance it accordingly. So just to give you an idea of what we're doing, we go into a house and we look at every aspect of that house. So here we'd look at the rounded shapes, the white colors that represent, and the grey colors, all that represents metal. The wooden texture that you've got here is wood, as is the wooden floor. All the shapes that we have, the rectangular shapes, all of that comes into effect. All of that has to be analysed. So going back to the curriculum, we're running quickly out of time. So I'll just quickly run through the curriculum. Workshop 6 is 9-star key. 9-star key gives us more in depth about what our personalities are. That Mingua directions that we have tells us our basic element and which directions are good for us. The workshop 6 and 9-star key refines our energy, gives us 3 different elements to work with, and we can look at how that relates to our partners, how it relates to our childhood, our creativity, and how we relate to the outside world. How well we deal with stress can be analysed by using those 9-star key numbers. Workshop 7 is Flying Star Feng Shui. You've probably all heard of Flying Star. It's very popular because it is very effective. It tells us the specific energy in any space. It's a bit like house astrology, if you like, but much more refined than that. It is balancing those electronic waves that you saw earlier, the EM waves. Now we do 2 workshops on that. We got workshop 7 and workshop 8, which is Advanced Flying Star, and that's really where we start to learn and we practice. During the course we have case studies. There's 6 case studies to work with, and every level that we get, we go and apply it to those 6 case studies that we're working with. So you get to learn what you've been taught. And it's a really good idea to do that. It helps you learn, helps you remember, and any problems that you come into, any observations we discuss in class, and it's a great way of learning. One of the greatest satisfaction I get is students going out and transforming people's lives. So that's great to see, and that always happens on our courses. Workshop 9 is 4 Pillars of Destiny, Chinese Astrology. I know I've done a couple of this for you. I've done this for a couple of you. It is the finite form of energy, finding out what we need, what balances our life. Ultimately, when we do a consultation, we're looking for this. This gives us the energy profile and what's missing from that. How we, putting that missing element into someone's space creates a nurturing environment where people flourish, families flourish, businesses flourish. Workshop 10 is advanced, so we look at it's quite a complex subject. Workshop 11 is some of those rings on the outer rings on the light panel, the inner ones and middle ones are covered before and then. In Compass School, which was workshop 3, and from then onwards. Advanced Lopan is a lot of the more ancient, more complex levels that we use. And then finally we've got Commercial Feng Shui, which is how you start your own practice, what's needed, etc. So it's an accredited professional Feng Shui consultant training program. Improves your quality of life and the lives of future clients. Learn all the techniques used by real Feng Shui masters. International accreditation for the Feng Shui Institute. The most comprehensive curriculum you will find anywhere. Attend in person at our class in Rochester, UK, or via the internet, wherever you are. Thank you for your patience. There's limited places, so book now. Date is the course consists of 1 weekend a month for 12 months. Starts on the 16th, 17th September, just in a few weeks' time. It will start on a Saturday and Sunday, and depending on who we have, we'll define the times that will be suitable for everyone attending the course. So that's taken into account international times zones. The venue is in Rochester or online, wherever you are. This Zoom works across all platforms, from your mobile phone to tablet, PC, Mac, whatever. If you get the software when you've already got the software to be here. The cost is £3,400, made up of initial £400 non-refundable deposit and 12 payments of £250. So I've been doing it for 20 years. The school started because my clients wanted to know how to do it. I'm quite amazed by the results that they were getting. So I was quite surprised. The school started, it's actually in its 20th year, the school. If you can't make it to the school or the distance learning, we've got the alternative distance learning program. There's the whole course, so the whole year's course is on one disc, okay? But the difference between this course, the course is on the disc, is you've got the whole curriculum there, you've got all the lessons, everything else. What makes the class different is that it's dynamic. So we'll pick up topics and current topics and work with that. Also, your feedback, your questions that you have from your clients, etc. It follows the exact same curriculum as class, but it's available as interactive modules. There are 7 in total. You can save approximately a third by taking them all together. You can even take the first step to try, then take steps 2 to 7, and still get a discount. Otherwise, take them wherever you are ready, whenever you are ready to progress to the next level.
Yes.
Great to see you all. If you would love to see you on the course, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll email you and we can chat. So I wish you all a great night wherever you are, great day. Thank you for your time. Great to connect with you.